43 miles off the coast of Malaysia, in a patch of ocean roughly half the size of Rhode Island, the Iranian regime runs the single most important business in the country. The American military cannot stop it. The Israeli Air Force cannot reach it. The United States Navy boards tankers 1,000 miles away in the Indian Ocean, and the trade keeps moving. This patch of ocean has a name. It is called EOPL. By the end of this video, you will understand why bombing Iran cannot actually defeat Iran. EOPL stands for Eastern Outer Port Limits. It is an anchorage at the eastern entrance to the Singapore Strait, sitting inside Malaysia's exclusive economic zone. It is not a port. There is no terminal. There are no cranes. There is only open sea and ships and a deliberate jurisdictional twilight zone that no government on Earth has been willing to close. In 2023, satellites tracked 280 ship-to-ship oil transfers in this anchorage. In 2024, the number rose to 471. In 2025, it reached 679. In the first 3.5 months of 2026 alone, despite an active war between the United States and Iran, despite a U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports declared on April 13th, and despite an Israeli air campaign against Iranian infrastructure that began on February 28th, the United Against Nuclear Iran satellite project counted more than 250 additional transfers. The pace is on track to break the 2025 record. Today you will learn 3 things almost no Iran analyst on YouTube has explained: what actually happens at EOPL minute by minute, why the geography of this single anchorage makes it untouchable, and why this floating gas station is the financial mirror image of the same doctrine the Revolutionary Guard uses to make its missile launchers untouchable. Start with the ritual. Picture an Iranian-flagged crude carrier leaving Karg Island Terminal in the Persian Gulf, fully loaded with 2 million barrels of Iranian crude. The vessel transits the Strait of Hormuz, exits the Gulf of Oman, crosses the Indian Ocean, rounds the southern tip of India, and enters the Malacca Strait. Just before reaching Singapore, it does something specific. It turns off its automatic identification system transponder. The ship goes dark on every commercial maritime tracking platform on Earth. Then it drops anchor inside EOPL. A second tanker is already waiting. This second vessel does not fly the Iranian flag. It might fly the flag of Cameroon, the Comoros, Panama, or any of half a dozen flags of convenience that perform almost no enforcement. Its registry is real on paper, even if the corporate ownership is buried under 3 layers of shell companies in Hong Kong, Dubai, and the British Virgin Islands. The 2 tankers connect by hose. Over the course of about 48 hours, the cargo is transferred. While the oil moves, paperwork is generated. The ship-to-ship operation produces a new bill of lading. The cargo, which left Iran labeled as Iranian crude, is now legally documented as a Malaysian blend product loaded at EOPL. When the second tanker turns its transponder back on and proceeds north toward Chinese ports, customs paperwork in China will declare the cargo as originating from Malaysia. The receiving refinery will pay for it as Malaysian blend, at a discount of roughly $8 to $10 per barrel below the Brent benchmark. That discount is not a courtesy. It is the regime's price for laundering the cargo through plausible deniability. This is what a single SDS transfer looks like. There are 679 of them in a single year. Now follow the money. According to the United Against Nuclear Iran Tracking Project, Iran's 2025 average crude export volume was 1,690,000 barrels per day. Approximately 90% of that volume goes to China. In March 2026, in the middle of the most intensive American and Israeli air campaign against Iran since the 1988 tanker war, the export volume to China held at 1,100,000 barrels per day. The bombing did not slow the trade. It barely registered in the data. That is the central observation of this entire video. Iran built a financial circulatory system that bombing cannot reach. Where does the oil ultimately go? Not to Sinopec, not to PetroChina. Those state-owned giants cannot legally touch sanctioned Iranian crude. The dollar exposure is too high. Instead, the cargo is sold to a category of small independent Chinese refineries known as the Shandong teapots. They are clustered along the eastern coast of China's Shandong province. They are private. They have no listings on major stock exchanges. They have no exposure to American banks. And they have an enormous appetite for cheap crude because their margins on refined product are razor thin. Last week on April 25th, the United States Treasury Department issued a press release. The action was numbered SB0405. Treasury sanctioned the Hingley Petrochemical Refinery in Dalian, along with 19 vessels in the Shadow Fleet for buying EOPL-laundered Iranian crude. It is the first time a major Chinese refinery has been directly sanctioned for this specific trade. The Treasury action will accomplish almost nothing. Sanctioned vessels get reflagged within 30 days. New shell companies are spun up over a weekend. The Hingley sanction will discourage exactly one refinery while 100 others continue. The system is designed to absorb sanctions the way a coral reef absorbs wave damage. The individual coral dies, the reef does not. Now here is the part that matters most. Why is the United States military, with 11 aircraft carriers, with the most sophisticated maritime intelligence apparatus in human history, unable to close a single 43-mile anchorage in someone else's economic zone? The answer is jurisdiction. EOPL sits inside Malaysia's exclusive economic zone. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, Malaysia controls fishing, resource extraction, and environmental enforcement in this water. The United States Navy cannot conduct boarding operations there without explicit Malaysian permission, which Malaysia will not give. Singapore, 50 miles south, polices its own port limits aggressively, but has no authority over the Malaysian side of the strait. In July 2025, Malaysian Foreign Minister Mohamad Hassan said publicly that Malaysia did not want to be, quote, accused of facilitating such activities, end quote. But he did not announce patrols. He did not announce arrests. He did not announce regulations. The statement was diplomatic theater, and the trade kept moving. The American naval response has been to interdict Iranian tankers in the Indian Ocean before they reach Malaysian waters. In one notable case, U.S. forces seized the MT Tafani, IMO number 9273337, with 1.9 million barrels of Iranian crude on board, but the Tafani was caught hundreds of miles from EOPL on the long Indian Ocean transit. Inside EOPL itself, the Navy will not enter. So you have an anchorage 43 miles off Malaysia where every day an Iranian tanker meets a flag of convenience tanker, the cargo is transferred, the manifest is rewritten, and a hostile foreign power's primary revenue stream is preserved. And no one, not the United States, not Israel, not the broader international community, can lawfully shut it down. This is where the doctrine becomes visible. The Revolutionary Guard has spent 40 years engineering Iranian military and economic systems against a specific scenario. The day a more powerful adversary tries to destroy the regime through concentrated force. They built decentralized missile launchers across 31 provinces so that no decapitation strike could end the missile program. They built underground missile cities so that no air campaign could destroy the launchers. They built proxy networks across the region so that no single ceasefire could end the war. And they built a financial system on the same principle. 600 shadow tankers under 15 flags of convenience, hundreds of buyer refineries with no exposure to the dollar system, a floating transfer hub in another country's waters, manifest laundering, paint job swaps, AIS transponder tricks, the Mosaic defense doctrine applied to oil revenue. You can bomb a refinery, you cannot bomb 600 tankers with 600 different paint jobs. You can sanction a refinery, you cannot sanction every private mid-sized buyer in Shandong province. You can intercept a tanker. You cannot intercept all of them simultaneously without starting a war with China, with Malaysia, with half the flag registries on Earth. That is why every Iran analyst who tells you the regime is on the verge of collapse is wrong about the math. The regime is not maintained by ideology. It is maintained by an estimated $40 billion a year of crude oil revenue laundered through a 43-mile anchorage in the Strait of Singapore. As long as that anchorage moves cargo, the regime keeps breathing. The question is no longer whether the United States can bomb Iran into compliance. The bombing campaign in February and March already happened, and the data shows it did not work. The question is whether the world is willing to sanction the world's largest oil consumer, redraw international maritime law, and pressure Malaysia into a policy reversal, all simultaneously, to close a single 43-mile patch of ocean off the eastern entrance to the Singapore Strait. Until that happens, EOPL keeps operating, the Iranian regime keeps earning, and every policymaker in Washington who believes pressure alone will end the conflict is, very politely, wrong. If you want to understand how Iran actually survives, who runs the operations behind the headlines, and why every Western policy analyst seems to be 6 months behind the data, subscribe to Beyond the Scene. The next investigation drops in 72 hours. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.